What is salvation? Before his crucifixion, Jesus Christ told his disciples, "I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. Howbeit when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. And he will show you things to come." This prophecy was fulfilled by Bahá'u'lláh, the prophet founder of the Bahá'í Faith during the 19th century. Bahá'u'lláh said, "Proclaim then unto all mankind the glad tidings of this mighty, this glorious revelation. Verily he who is the Spirit of truth is come to guide you unto all truth. He speaketh not as prompted by his own self, but as bidden by him who is the all-knowing, the all-wise." As promised, Bahá'u'lláh, along with his son ABDU'L-BAHÁ, the authoritative interpreter of his word, shed light on the question, what is salvation? The subject of this video. For what purpose did God create man? Bahá'u'lláh wrote, "The purpose of God in creating man hath been and will ever be to enable him to know his Creator and to attain his presence. To this most excellent aim, this supreme objective, all the heavenly books and the divinely revealed and weighty Scriptures unequivocally bear witness. Whoso hath recognized the dayspring of divine guidance and entered his holy court, hath drawn nigh unto God and attained his presence, a presence which is the real paradise, and of which the loftiest mansions in heavens are but a symbol. Whoso hath failed to recognize him will have condemned himself to the misery of remoteness, a remoteness which is naught but utter nothingness and the essence of the nethermost fire. Such will be his fate, though to outward seeming he may occupy the earth's loftiest seats and be established upon its most exalted throne." In the Catholic Church, the divine presence is called the beatific vision, which they describe as the immediate knowledge of God, which the angelic spirits and the souls of the just enjoy in heaven. In beholding God face to face, the created intelligence finds perfect happiness. Within the Gospel, the divine presence is simply referred to as heaven, and attaining the divine presence is called entering into the kingdom of heaven. It's important to note that even in this earthly life, one can attain the divine presence. One can experience the beatific vision. One can enter into the kingdom of heaven, as countless living believers in and followers of the one true God can testify. How does one attain the divine presence, attain the beatific vision, enter into the kingdom of heaven? The path to the divine presence, the path to the beatific vision, the path to heaven, was laid out with great clarity in the Gospel. It's obedience to the will of God. Even as Jesus Christ said, "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven." And again, "Whoso therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven." And again, "For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works." And again, "If thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments." And once more, "If you keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love." These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. What's the consequence of disobeying the will of God? The consequence of disobeying the will of God is being separated from the divine presence, as was the fate of those who in disobedience to the teachings of the gospel were persecuting the Thessalonians. Those who do not obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus, these will suffer the punishment of eternal destruction, separated from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of His might. Baha'u'lláh expressed this divine truth this way: the first duty prescribed by God for His servants is the recognition of Him who is the dayspring of His revelation and the fountain of His laws, who representeth the Godhead in both the kingdom of His cause and the world of creation. Whoso achieveth this duty hath attained unto all good, and whoso is deprived thereof hath gone astray, though he be the author of every righteous deed. It behooveth every one who reacheth this most sublime station, this summit of transcendent glory, to observe every ordinance of Him who is the desire of the world. These twin duties are inseparable. Neither is acceptable without the other. Thus hath it been decreed by Him who is the source of divine inspiration. This teaching of Baha'u'lláh resolves a centuries-old debate within Christianity about the importance of doing the deeds of the law in winning the good pleasure of God and thereby attaining His presence, experiencing the beatific vision, entering into the kingdom of heaven. This debate has its roots in the New Testament itself. On one side of the debate, there are those who quote this statement from the Apostle Paul: by the deeds of the law there should be no flesh justified. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by His grace through the redemption that is in Jesus Christ, whom God has sent forth to be a propitiation through faith in His blood, to declare His righteousness for the remission of sins that are past, through the forbearance of God. Therefore we conclude that man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. On the other side of the debate, there are those who quote this passage from James: what doth it profit, O brethren, though a man say he hath faith, but have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and any one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding that you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? You see then how that by works man is justified, and not by faith only. This debate continues to this day, but reached its apex during the Protestant Reformation, when certain Protestant theologians advanced a doctrine called antinomianism. Anti meaning against, and nomos meaning law. In its extreme, this doctrine states, as good works do not promote salvation, so neither do evil works hinder it. And as all Christians are necessarily sanctified by their very vocation and profession, so as justified Christians, they are incapable of losing their spiritual holiness, justification, and final salvation by any act of disobedience to, or even by any direct violation of the law of God. The Catholic Church vigorously condemned antinomianism as heresy. In the 6th session of the Ecumenical Council of Trent, Canon 19 of that council reads, If anyone shall say that nothing besides faith is commanded in the gospel, that other things are indifferent, neither commanded nor prohibited, but free, or that the 10 Commandments in no wise appertain unto Christians, let him be anathema. From what are we being saved? In a word, attachment to the material world, which is metaphorically referred to as the serpent in the book of Genesis and as the evil one in the Bahá'í writings. Such attachment leads one to rebel against doing the will of God in favor of seeking material gratification. Following the whisperings of the evil one, or the hiss of the serpent, if you will, prompts one to disobey the will of God. This results in one being denied entrance into the kingdom of heaven, being deprived of the beatific vision, being separated from the presence of the Lord. ABDU'L-BAHÁ explains, "For the spirit and soul of Adam, when they were attached to the human world, passed from the world of freedom into the world of bondage, and his descendants continued in bondage. This attachment of the soul and the spirit to the human world, which is sin, was inherited by the descendants of Adam, and is the serpent, which is always in the midst of and at enmity with the spirits and the descendants of Adam. That enmity continues and endures, for attachment to the world has become the cause of the bondage of spirits, and this bondage is identical with sin. It is because of this attachment that men have been deprived of essential spirituality and exalted position. When the sanctified breezes of Christ and the holy light of the greatest luminary Bahá'u'lláh were spread abroad, the human realities, that is to say, those who turn toward the Word of God and receive the profusion of His bounties, were saved from this attachment and sin, obtained everlasting life, were delivered from the chains of bondage, and attained to the world of liberty. They were freed from the vices of the human world and were blessed by the virtues of the kingdom. This is the meaning of the words of Christ, 'I gave my blood for the life of the world.' That is to say, I have chosen all these troubles, these sufferings, calamities, and even the greatest martyrdom to attain this object, the remission of sins. That is, the detachment of spirits from the human world and their attraction to the divine world, in order that souls may arise who will be the very essence of the guidance of mankind and the manifestations of the perfections of the supreme kingdom. The valley of true poverty and absolute nothingness. Baha'u'lláh described being completely detached from the material world as entering the valley of true poverty and absolute nothingness. This station is that of dying to the self and living in God, of being poor in self and rich in the desired one. Poverty, as here referred to, signifieth being poor in that which pertaineth to the world of creation, and rich in that which belongeth to the realms of God. For when the true lover and devoted friend reacheth the presence of the beloved, the radiant beauty of the loved one and the fire of the lover's heart will kindle a blaze that will burn away all veils and wrappings. Yea, all that he hath from marrow to skin will be set aflame, so that nothing will remain save the friend. In all of these journeys, the wayfarer must not stray a hair's breadth from the law. For this is indeed the secret of the path, and the fruit of the tree of truth. In all these stages, he must cling to the robe of obedience to all that hath been enjoined, and hold fast to the cord of shunning all that is forbidden, that he may partake of the cup of the law and be informed of the mysteries of truth. As the writings above say, choosing to follow the promptings of the evil one, the hiss of the serpent, if you will, results in the bondage of one's spirit to the material world. Obedience to the will of God, on the other hand, results in one attaining true liberty. Say, true liberty consisteth in man's submission unto my commandments, little as ye know it. Were men to observe that which we have sent down unto them from the heaven of revelation, they would of a certainty attain unto perfect liberty. Happy is the man that hath apprehended the purpose of God in whatever he hath revealed, from the heaven of his will that hath pervaded all created things. Say, The liberty that profiteth you is to be found nowhere except in complete servitude unto God, the eternal truth. Whoso hath tasted of its sweetness will refuse to barter it for all the dominion of earth and heaven.